My daughter emailed me, "Don't come to my graduation. It's her day, not yours." So I made it unforgettable. Before I tell you my whole story, let me know in the comments what part of the world you're listening to me from. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 43 years old, and I've been working as a registered nurse at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago for 18 years. I live in a modest apartment in Lincoln Park that I bought after years of saving every penny. I've always put others first, especially my only daughter, Jessica, who's now 22 and graduating from Northwestern University's medical school. When my ex-husband walked out when Jessica was 4, I promised she would never lack anything important. I worked double shifts, picked up overtime, sold my car, moved to a smaller apartment, all to afford private school tuition, test prep courses, and medical school at $65,000 per year. That Tuesday afternoon, exhausted after a night shift in the ICU, I checked my phone hoping for a sweet message from my daughter. Instead, I found a cold, direct message. "Mom, I've been thinking, and I think it's better if you don't come to my graduation. There will be important people there. My classmates. Parents are all doctors, lawyers, successful business people. You'll feel out of place. Besides, it's my day, not yours. I hope you understand." Jessica, sitting in that hospital break room, still in stained scrubs, I felt something deeper than sadness. Jessica had changed since hanging around with Madison, daughter of a famous cardiac surgeon. She seemed embarrassed by her background, stopped introducing me as a nurse, just said I worked in healthcare. As I rode home on the crowded L train, I realized there had been signs for months. Jessica avoided talking about graduation, always said she was still organizing details. What hurt most was the hypocrisy. How could she say it was her day when every dollar came from my sacrifice? My sleepless nights caring for patients to pay her tuition. As tears rolled down my face, I felt something different forming inside me. Not despair, but cold clarity and determination. Jessica wanted an unforgettable day. Then it would be exactly that. For years, I had been the mother who gave in, who understood, who always put her daughter's needs first. But looking at my reflection in the train window, I realized it was time to teach my daughter that actions have consequences. I went home, turned on my laptop and typed a response. "Jessica, I received your message and respect your decision. You're right. It really is your day, and you deserve to celebrate it exactly as you wish. I hope it's everything you dreamed of. With love, your mother who works in healthcare." But that was just the first part of my plan. As I clicked send, I already knew what I would do next. Jessica wanted an unforgettable day. I would make sure it was exactly that. In the years after my ex-husband's abandonment, I developed resilience I didn't know I possessed. When Jessica was 15, she wanted a Harvard summer program costing $8,000. I sold my grandmother's jewelry, took out a bank loan, and worked 3 months straight. Jessica went, had an incredible experience, but seemed to have absorbed the idea that she deserved a standard of living my salary could barely sustain. Then came pressure for the most expensive SAT prep courses. "Mom, all my friends go there. That's where the best instructors are." Once again, I reorganized myself financially. I canceled my health insurance, started cutting my own hair, replaced meals with sandwiches. Medical school was the pinnacle of my financial efforts. $65,000 per year, plus expensive textbooks, materials, conferences, equipment. I worked 60 hours a week, came home exhausted, slept 4 hours and maintained the house. During these 4 years, I noticed changes in Jessica's behavior. First year, she called daily, told me about professors, classmates, difficulties. Gradually, Calls became less frequent. Visits home became spaced out. When she came, she brought friends who looked at our simple apartment with poorly disguised disdain. Madison was the worst, daughter of a renowned cardiologist. She lived in a Gold Coast penthouse, had her own car since 18, as shopped in New York like going to the grocery store. Always polite to me, but with condescension, as if I were a curious relic from Jessica's less privileged life. Madison suggested Jessica do residency abroad. Imagine what an incredible resume you'll have. My father knows people at Johns Hopkins. Madison organized parties, dinners, social events for the group. Gradually, Jessica integrated into a world where I clearly didn't fit. I noticed Jessica avoided mentioning my profession with classmates. Once, I overheard her say I managed things at the hospital. The omission hurt more than a direct lie would have. When I asked to meet her new boyfriend, a classmate whose parents were successful lawyers, she said it was too early for formal introductions. But through social media, I saw he'd already had dinner at Madison's family house, participated in parties, group trips. The problem wasn't the relationship's formality. The problem was me. The signs were all there, but I chose to ignore them. I preferred believing it was just a phase, that Jessica was naturally distancing herself while building her professional identity. But the graduation email was different. No longer gradual distancing or polite excuses. It was direct, raw, definitive rejection. My daughter clearly saying I wasn't adequate to share the most important moment of her life. That night, after sending my concise response to Jessica, I sat in the kitchen with tea and reflected on our relationship. How many times had I swallowed small disrespects to keep peace? How many times had I pretended not to notice embarrassed looks when she saw me in my work uniform? The answer was, too many times. I grabbed my laptop and started calculating. 4 years of private high school, $120,000. 4 years of medical school, $260,000. Summer programs, test prep, materials, conferences, another $40,000. Total, almost $420,000 that a nurse had gathered through willpower and sacrifice. But it wasn't about money. It was about what that money represented. Every dollar represented a night I worked instead of resting. Every tuition payment represented shoes I didn't buy, vacations I didn't take, dinners that became sandwiches at home. I closed the laptop and made a decision. If Jessica wanted that to be her day, then it would be exactly that. But I would also make it a day of learning about consequences, responsibility, and gratitude. Not revenge. Education. I picked up my phone and made 3 calls. First to my sister, who worked in a bank's financial department. Second to my lawyer, who had helped during the divorce. Third to the manager, where I deposited Jessica's tuition money monthly. They were just 3 calls, but I knew they would ensure my daughter's graduation would be absolutely unforgettable. Graduation was scheduled for Saturday at 2 p.m. in the university's main auditorium. I knew all details because I had helped Jessica organize everything for months, before discovering my presence would be a problem. I knew about the 4 Seasons party afterward, sponsored by the wealthiest parents. I knew Jessica had bought a $200 dress with money I'd deposited as help for final college expenses. Friday before graduation, I received an unexpected call. Jessica's voice sounded uncertain, almost vulnerable. Mom, something strange happened. I tried to pay the last tuition installment today, and the card was declined. The bank said there's no available credit. Can you help me? It's urgent. They won't let me graduate if I have outstanding payments. I took a deep breath before responding. Jessica, I talked to the bank yesterday. Your account is empty because I canceled the automatic transfer I'd been making for 4 years. The last payment needs to be made by 5 p.m. today, or you'll miss graduation. Long silence. Then her voice became high-pitched, desperate. What do you mean? Cancelled? Mom, you can't do this. Graduation is tomorrow. I know exactly when graduation is. Jessica, after all, I organized all the details with you. But you made it clear it's your day, not mine. So I thought it should be your responsibility to handle costs, too. Mom, you're not serious. I don't have $65,000 available right now. How strange, I replied calmly. You have a credit card with $10,000 limit that I've been paying for 3 years. You have a checking account where I deposit $800 monthly for personal expenses. And I'm sure your influential friends can lend $65,000 without problems, considering it's insignificant for people of their social level. I heard Jessica breathing heavily. Mom, please don't do this. You know I can't ask my friends for money, and the card is maxed out because I had graduation expenses. Jessica, I'll make you a simple proposal. Send me an email, the same way you sent the previous one, formally apologizing for the disrespect and inviting me to graduation. Then I'll pay the tuition, and we'll go together to celebrate your achievement. This is blackmail. No, my daughter. This is teaching you that actions have consequences. You chose to treat me as inadequate for your new world. Now you're discovering that maybe it's difficult to maintain that world without help from someone you consider inadequate. Jessica hung up on me, but I knew she would call back. She had no choice. 2 hours later, my phone rang again. Jessica's voice was different now. There was calculated coldness that gave me chills. Mom, I managed to solve the situation. Madison lent me the money. I don't need your help anymore. And I don't need you in my life either. After graduation, we'll be even. I understand, I replied. But I have a question. Did Madison only lend the $65,000 for tuition? Or is she also taking over the $85,000 student loan that's in my name? And the $25,000 car financing? And the credit card that has my apartment as collateral? Total silence on the other end. Because, Jessica, if you're even with me, I imagine you'll want to assume all these financial responsibilities that have been in my name for years. After all, it would be embarrassing for a newly graduated doctor to depend financially on someone she considers inadequate for her social circle. You can't do that. Her voice was trembling now. Actually, I can. I talked to my lawyer. Since you're of legal age and now have a profession, I can transfer all these debts to your name. It's even more correct, legally speaking. After all, they were expenses for your education and personal assets. Mom, Jessica, I'll give you the rest of the night to reflect. If by 8 a.m. tomorrow you haven't sent me a formal apology and invitation to graduation, I'll proceed with transferring all financial responsibilities. Good night. I hung up and, for the first time in years, felt I had regained my personal power. It wasn't cruelty. It was justice. A mother finally teaching her adult daughter that respect isn't optional. It's fundamental. At 6:30 a.m. Saturday, I received an email from Jessica. It was long, full of tearful apologies, acknowledging her mistakes and begging me to come to graduation. But I knew it wasn't genuine remorse. It was just fear of financial consequences. At exactly 8 a.m., I called her. Jessica, I received your email. I accept your apologies, but I'm not going to graduation. What do you mean? I apologized like you asked. Yes, but now I don't want to go anymore. You were right from the beginning. It's your day, not mine. Go celebrate with people who really matter to you. I have other plans. And I really did. At 2 p.m., the exact time of Jessica's graduation, I would be at a spa, getting a relaxing massage I had booked with money I wouldn't spend on a graduation gift. It would be my own unforgettable day. Graduation happened as scheduled, But Jessica quickly discovered the world of the privileged has its own rules. Madison, who had lent the tuition money, made sure to comment to everyone about Jessica's family's complicated financial situation. At the Four Seasons party, Jessica found herself being treated as the poor girl of the group, someone who needed charity from wealthier classmates. I learned all these details through my sister, whose son was in Jessica's class. Apparently, the absence of family at graduation was also noticed and commented on. While all other graduates took photos with proud parents, Jessica posed alone, trying to hide her embarrassment. But what really made the day unforgettable for Jessica happened during the party. Her boyfriend, the lawyer's son she so wanted to impress, approached her with a strange expression. "Jessica, I need to tell you something. My mother found out today that that your family has financial problems. She thinks it's better if we take a break from our relationship. You know how it is. My parents are traditional. They think it's important for spouses to come from similar backgrounds." Jessica told me this part personally, a week after graduation. When she finally came to visit, she arrived home crying, humiliated, finally understanding that the world she had chosen would never truly accept her as an equal. "Mom, I made a terrible mistake. I don't know how to ask for forgiveness. I served tea for both of us, and we sat at the same kitchen table where I had planned my response to her email." "Jessica, you don't need to apologize again. You need to understand some things about life. I know I was ungrateful. I know you sacrificed for me. It's not about gratitude, my daughter. It's about respect and understanding who you really are. You spent 4 years trying to transform yourself into someone you're not, trying to erase your origin, being ashamed of who I am. But you discovered that, in the end, they'll never fully accept you. You'll always be the girl who needed loans to pay for medical school." Jessica cried more, but this time they weren't tears of self-pity. They were tears of recognition. "What do I do now, Mom?" "Now you decide who you really want to be. You can keep trying to fit into a world that doesn't accept you, or build your own life based on true values. You can be a doctor who's proud to come from a working-class family, who understands the value of effort, who treats simple people with respect. And do you forgive me, Jessica? I've always loved you and always will, but our relationship needs to be rebuilt on different foundations. Foundations of mutual respect, not unilateral sacrifice." Today, 3 years after that tumultuous graduation, Jessica is a respected doctor at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, specializing in emergency medicine. She chose this area because, according to her, it's where I can really make a difference in the lives of people who need it, like my mother always did. She's dating a paramedic she met at the hospital, a simple and hard-working guy who admires her, not despite her origin, but exactly because of it. They're planning to get married next year, in a small ceremony, where I'll be the maid of honor. Madison and the medical school group completely disappeared from Jessica's life after graduation. She discovered that friendships based on social status are extremely fragile when the status disappears. Today, her best friends are work colleagues, and some people she met through me. Real people, with solid values. The most beautiful thing is seeing how Jessica changed her perspective on success. Before, success meant impressing others, having status, being accepted in privileged social circles. Today, success means waking up every day, knowing she's making a difference in someone's life, having true relationships, and being respected for what she is, not what she owns. Last week, she surprised me with an unexpected proposal. "Mom, how about we take a trip together? I have money saved and I want to take you to see Europe. Not out of obligation or gratitude, but because I want to share this experience with you." It was the first time in years that Jessica offered something to me without my having asked or suggested it. It was the sign that our relationship had truly balanced. "But what about the money?" I asked, joking. "Mom, I learned that money well spent is what you use to strengthen true relationships. How many years did you spend money on me? Now it's my turn to give back, not out of obligation, but out of love." I accepted the trip, of course. But what moved me most wasn't the offer itself. It was realizing that my daughter had finally understood one of life's most important lessons, that true relationships are built on reciprocity, respect, and genuine love, not on unilateral sacrifice or social expectations. Her graduation really was unforgettable, but today we understand it was unforgettable for the right reason. It was the moment when we both learned that true love doesn't mean accepting disrespect, and that sometimes it's necessary to establish clear boundaries so people value what they have. If you're going through something similar, if you have people in your life who treat you as if you were inadequate or embarrassing, I want you to know that you deserve respect. You deserve to be valued for what you do, for what you are, for the sacrifices you've made. Don't accept being treated like an embarrassing secret by people who only got where they are because of your dedication. Set boundaries. Demand respect. Show the people around you that true love isn't unconditional sacrifice, but a two-way street where both parties value each other mutually. And remember, sometimes, to teach about gratitude, it's necessary to show what life is like without it. Sometimes, to build healthy relationships, it's necessary to rebuild on different foundations. Sometimes, the best way to love someone is to establish clear limits about how you accept being treated. Your story is important. Your origin is valuable. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. And if someone makes you feel inadequate, maybe it's time to show them how much they depend on you to maintain their own adequacy. If this story touched your heart, if you've been through something similar or know someone who needs to hear this message, share it. Comment with your own experiences. Let's create a community where hardworking, dedicated, and genuine people feel valued and respected. Because in the end, life's best achievements are those we share with people who truly love us, not those we reach trying to impress people who will never fully accept us.